With Premier Guitar. So Les Paul introduced in 1952. It's been through a lot of changes in those 68 years, but in a way, it's amazing how much they got it right the first time. So this is a 1954 Les Paul standard, although they didn't call them standard back then. There was the Les Paul, and then there was the Les Paul Custom. Now the difference is the gold top was first released in 52. So in 1950, Fender came out with the Esquire, the Broadcaster, and people were into solid body guitars. Now a few years earlier, Les Paul had come to Gibson with his Log, which is basically, I'm sure you've seen pictures. So he was into the whole the solid body thing. So at that point, Ted McCarty started designing the Les Paul with the Gibson team in 1951, and by 52 they had Les on board, and the only thing Les really had to say about the first one was the color. He chose this iconic gold. And then Les became involved with the guitar and they began making a lot of changes. So by 54, the cool thing about this is that's when they first introduced the solid studs right there. Initially, it was a trapeze, and Les Paul didn't like it because the strings were under it, so you couldn't mute, you couldn't get your hand there to mute, kind of like you would comfortably do it. And the neck angle had some issues, but by 1954, they were running studs on all of them, and it was a very, it's this guitar here, very solid guitar. But the Custom, introduced in 1953, had some substantial differences, and let's do a little compare and contrast right now. So I think the improvement with the Custom is that in 53 they introduced this bridge, which was huge because it gave you these intonation options that you just can't get in a wraparound or a trapeze. This one has a Bigsby, and honestly, this is a 1956, and this is not the original Bigsby. This is the one that came with it, but I don't even know if this is original. It's almost like archaeology when you're looking at old guitars. You don't know what it's been through. At one point, it had a bar back there and the traditional tailpiece. So it's been through some changes. So here's the differences mainly. Whereas the original Les Paul had it's a mahogany body with a 1-inch maple cap and a rosewood fingerboard. This Les Paul, the Custom, is solid mahogany without the cap, and the fingerboard is ebony. So that's going to give you some different sounds, and then the bridge, of course, is different. But it's funny, I think the mahogany, even just acoustically in the room, it sounds a little mellower to me. Like this is way louder. Granted, the bridge is part of it, but you can hear it there. So there's some differences. Why don't I just play this one? Oh, and also the pickups are hugely different. The original has these P90s that we all know and love, and they're just, to this day, they're still incredible sounding pickups. But Les Paul, who was a real hi-fi nut, thought the neck was a little dirty, he wanted a little more definition, so he actually put a de-arming in some of the prototypes he was playing, which Gibson was not crazy about that because they kind of want their artist playing a signature guitar to have it look like the ones you're buying in the store. So what they did, they designed this, which is essentially sounding like the de-arming that Les Paul's into. This is the kind of famous staple P90. And it really does have a different sound. I'm going to come in dirty like I did on the other one, so you can kind of hear what it does like that. Now, let me play it clean a little bit and kind of get the vibe of it a little bit more. This neck pickup is a really sweet, jazzy sounding instrument pickup. And what's really cool, you put them in between the two. You got that kind of twangy pop mixed with that mellow staple. It's really cool. Put a little dirt on that. And then the bridge, and do that clean. Then put a little dirt on that. Whoa. Okay, for fun, let's go ahead and plug in the gold top and kind of hear what that sounds like. Comparing the two. Easy there, steady. So we'll start clean and go from there with that bridge. I don't know why, but I prefer the sound of the gold top bridge. It's got a little more, I don't know, presence, or it seems when I've played it on recordings, it seems like it sticks to tape better, if that makes sense. It kind of fights through the mix. And then put a little dirt on it. up a little bit. I don't know, that pickup sounds great. I think, though, the reason Les Paul was so into the clarity thing is that he was just recording all the time. I mean, himself, he was the engineer, and he had his headphones on, he's listening under a microscope, so he preferred that. So it's pretty amazing that, I mean, this instrument is, you know, from 1954, so that is 66 years old, and it is as useful today as it ever was. I mean, you can't beat it. And this guy, 56, still, I mean, just an amazing tone. And then this is 2019, and you can see a few changes. The main one being in 57, they introduced the humbucker. And then, of course, in 1958, they went to the Sunburst. But up before then, it was gold top or black. You could have any color you wanted as long as it was gold top or black. So I hope you've enjoyed this little comparison. Play on, my friends.